Good morning, children. Welcome back. I am Mrs. Sitara, your social science teacher. In the last session, we were dealing with Chapter 2 in History, Emergence of New Kingdom in North India. Before we go into the lesson, let us have a recap of what we learned. In the last session, we discussed about the introduction of the lesson. We also learned about the origin of the Rajput. It comes from the Sanskrit word Rajaputra, which means scion of the royal blood. In this session, we are going to discuss about the Pratiharas and the Palas. Before going into the Pratiharas, let me give you a brief introduction about them. They were a prominent clan of the Rajput dynasty, and they were very powerful in the medieval period, and they ruled most of the northern India from 7th century to 11th century. They had their capital in Ujjain and later they shifted to Kannauj. Now let us see more about Pratiharas. Pratiharas or Gurjara Pratiharas was one of the 4 prominent clans of the Rajputs who ruled from Gujaratra, present-day Jodhpur. Which was one of the famous clans of Rajputs? It was the Pratiharas or the Gurjara Pratiharas, from where they ruled from Gujaratra. In the 6th century AD, Harichandra laid the foundation of the Gurjara dynasty. Who laid the foundation for the Gurjara dynasty? It was Harichandra. When did he lay the foundation? It was in the 6th century AD. On the picture you can see Harichandra II. The next picture shows Nagabhatta I, one of the prominent rulers of the Pratiharas. Nagabhatta I was the first and the prominent ruler of the Pratiharas. Who was the first and the prominent ruler of Pratiharas? It was a Nagabhatta. In the 8th century, he ruled over Broch and Jodhpur and extended his dominion up to Gwalior. So he ruled over Broch and Jodhpur and extended his dominion. Dominion is his sovereign up to the Gwalior. You know, children, Broch is in Gujarat, present-day Gujarat, and Jodhpur in Rajasthan, and Gwalior is in Madhya Pradesh. So you can see from the map there, he had his kingdom from Broch near the coastal area towards the Jodhpur and towards the Madhya Pradesh, Gwalior in Madhya Pradesh. He repulsed the invasion of the Arabs of Sindh from the east and checked their expansion. He could successfully stop the invasion of the Arabs of Sindh. He was succeeded by Vatsaraja, who desired to dominate the whole of North India. His attempt to control over Kannauj brought him conflict with the Pala ruler Dharmapala. So he was able to control the invasion of the Arabs, but his successor Vatsaraja, he wanted to dominate the whole of North India and he wanted to get the control over the Kannauj, and that brought the conflict with the Pala ruler Dharmapala. There was a prolonged tripartite struggle between the Gurjara Pratiharas of Malwa, Rashtrakutas of Deccan and the Palas of Bengal. Tripartite means involving 3 people, 3 parties. So there was a war between 3 people, who were they? Gurjara Pratiharas of Malwa, Rashtrakutas of Deccan and Palas of Bengal, and each of them wanted to establish their supremacy over the fertile region of Kannauj. In the process, all the 3 forces became weakened. You can see there was a long war, long struggle for occupying the rich region of Kannauj. It was a Gangetic area, fertile area, and all wanted to have control over that. Who all wanted to control? The Gurjara Pratiharas, then Rashtrakutas and the Palas. All 3 of them wanted to have the control over Kannauj, and there was a battle for a long time. And in the end, what happened? All the 3 became weaker. Now we will see the successors of Vatsaraja. Valsaraja's successor Nagabhatta II and Ramabhadra did not do anything impressively. They were not able to, Nagabhatta II and Ramabhadra were not able to do anything very impressive. But Mihira Bhoja or Bhoja, who was a son of Ramabhadra, within a few years of his accession, succeeded in consolidating the powers of the Pratiharas. Even though Ramabhadra was not able to do anything, Mihira Bhoja or Bhoja, his son, was able to consolidate the power of the Pratiharas, to prove the power of Pratiharas. As a strong ruler, Bhoja was able to maintain peace in his kingdom. As there were always fighting over the Kannauj, this ruler Bhoja was able to maintain peace in his kingdom. The Arab menace's trouble was firmly tackled by him. After Bhoja, the Pratihara Empire continued its full glory for nearly a century. So he was able to maintain peace in his country, as well as he was able to tackle the attack of the Arabs. Always the Arabs were attacking, from the Arabs of the Sindh were attacking, and Bhoja was able to bring a control over them. So he controlled the Arab menace, as well as he prevailed peace in his kingdom. And after Bhoja, the empire continued its full glory for nearly a century. Having successfully resisted the Arabs, the Pratiharas turned their attention towards the east, and by the end of the millennium, they ruled over a large part of Rajasthan and Malwa. After resisting Arabs, they had their concentration towards the east side, and they ruled over the large part of Rajasthan and Malwa. They also held Kannauj for some time. They were able to conquer the Kannauj in the tripartite war. The Rajputs fought each other endlessly in the 11th and the 12th century. They were fighting among themselves in 11th and the 12th centuries. Taking advantage of these internecine quarrels, many local kings succeeded in making themselves independent. Spell the word internecine. 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 Internecine is relating to conflict within a group. It is a conflict within a group. So since the Rajputs were trying to quarrel among themselves, many of the local kings whom they defeated and brought under their control were successful in making themselves independent. Having learnt about the Pratiharas, the Rajput kings, we will move on to the Palas. In Palas, we are going to learn about Dharmapala and Mahipala I. Now, Gopala, who founded the Pala dynasty, did not have royal antecedents. Learn the spelling: antecedent. Antecedents. 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 Antecedents means a person's ancestor or a family and social background. So Gopala had no royal antecedents. He was the founder of the Pala dynasty, and he did not have any royal connections. He was elected by the people for his superior capabilities. Purely based on his capabilities, he was elected by the people. During his reign from 750 to 770, Gopala laid the foundations for the future greatness of this dynasty in Bengal. So he ruled from 750 to 770. At that time, he laid the foundations for the future of this dynasty in Bengal. His son Dharmapala made the Pala kingdom a powerful force in the northern India politics. It was his son Dharmapala who made it a powerful kingdom. He led a successful campaign against Kannauj. We learned about the tripartite war, and he had a successful campaign against the Kannauj. He was a great patron of Buddhism. Patron means supporter. He was a great supporter of Buddhism. Buddhism, is a religion formed by the Lord Buddha. He founded Vikramasilla Monastery, which became a great center of Buddhist learning. He is the founder of the Vikramasilla Monastery. Who was that? Dharmapala. Children, Dharmapala was succeeded by his son Devapala, who extended Pala control eastwards into Kamarupa in Assam. Devapala was also a great patron of Buddhism. He gifted 5 villages to the Buddhists. He also constructed many temples along the monasteries in Magadha. According to the historian R.C. Mazumdar, the reigns of Dharmapala and Devapala constitute the most brilliant chapters in the history of Bengal. Bengal had its glory under the reign of Dharmapala and Devapala. After Devapala, 5 rulers ruled the region insignificantly. After that, 5 rulers had ruled it, but they were not of much importance. The kingdom attained unprecedented glory when Mahipala ascended the throne in 1988. Unprecedented is never done or known before, unknown earlier. That is the meaning of unprecedented. So, the Pala dynasty had its glory in the reign of Mahipala when he ascended the throne in 1988. Now we will learn about Mahipala, the most powerful ruler of the Pala dynasty. Mahipala I was the most powerful ruler of the Pala dynasty. He is called the founder of the second Pala dynasty. He is called as a founder of the second Pala dynasty. Who is the founder of the Pala dynasty? It was Gopala. He did not have any royal antecedents. Who is called as a founder of the second Pala dynasty? It is Mahipala I. The decline of Pratiharas gave the Palas an opportunity to take a leading role in North Indian affairs. As the Pratiharas became declined, as their reign started deteriorating, then the Palas had an opportunity to take the leading role in North India. Mahipala I could not extend his domain beyond the Banaras because of the impressive campaigns of the Chola kings from the south, Rajendra Chola. So he could not extend it beyond the Banaras because it was supported by the Chola king, Rajendra Chola. Mahipala restored the old glory of the Palas. He constructed and repaired a large number of religious buildings at Banaras, Sarnath and Nalanda. He repaired and he constructed so many buildings, religious buildings in Banaras, Sarnath and Nalanda. The Pala dynasty declined soon after the death of Mahipala. Even though it was at its glory during the Mahipala period, as soon as he passed away, it started to decline and gave way to the Sena dynasty. After they declined, they paved way for the Sena dynasty. After learning about the Pratiharas and the Palas, now we will learn about the Chauhans. The Chauhans ruled between AD 956 and 1192 over the eastern parts of the present-day Rajasthan, establishing their capital at Sagambari. The Chauhans had their capital at Sagambari and they ruled during 956 to 1192. Where did they rule? The eastern parts of present-day Rajasthan. This Rajput dynasty was founded by Simharaji. Who founded this dynasty? Simharaji, who was popularly known as the founder of the city of Ajmer. Who was the founder of the city of Ajmer? It was Simharaji. And he is also founder of the Chauhan dynasty. Comparing to the Pratiharas and the Palas, the Chauhans ruled very short period of maybe 3 generations or so, maybe less than 300 years. But they were able to create a city called Ajmer, which was their capital city, from the Sagambari to Ajmer. The Chauhans were the feudatories of the Pratiharas. Spell the word feudatory. 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 That means a person who holds a land under the condition of the feudal system. That means a chief or a chieftain is given a large piece of land by a more powerful ruler, and in return it is paid a tribute in the form of money or agricultural products or manual power in times of war, etc. So they were feudatories of the Pratiharas and staunchly stood by them to check the Arab invasion. And they were always standing together to check the invasion of the Arabs. The last of the Chauhan kings, the Prithviraj Chauhan, was considered the greatest of all the Chauhan rulers. The greatest one was the ruler called Prithviraj Chauhan. He defeated Muhammad Ghori in the first battle of Tarin, fought in 1191. He defeated Muhammad Ghori. However, he was defeated and killed in the second battle of Tarin in 192. Even though Prithviraj Chauhan was able to resist and defeat Muhammad Ghori in the first battle, a year later he was defeated and killed in the second battle of the Tarin. Before we wind up today's class, let us have a recap of what we learned. In this session, we discussed about the Pratiharas, the Palas, Dharmapala, Mahipala, and the Chauhans. Next class, we will discuss about the contributions of the Rajputs to art and architecture. Until we meet again, it's bye from your ma'am.